The 13th chord, the vinyl record, arrived on July 12th, wrapped in plain brown paper with no return address. Only Martin's name, scrawled in faded red ink that looked uncomfortably like dried blood. Inside was a pristine album sleeve for a band he'd never heard of. The 13th Chord live at Crossroads Hall. July 13th, 1977. Martin, a lifelong collector of obscure rock memorabilia, examined the record with growing excitement. Boo. The needle dropped with a soft hiss of static. At first, nothing but ambient noise filled his listening. Roomed the murmur of an expectant crowd, the squeal of equipment being adjusted. Then came the strangest opening notes he'd ever heard. The cover art depicted 5 silhouetted figures on stage, their instruments creating strange, elongated shadows that seemed to reach toward not memories or imagination, but vivid visions of a concert hall he'd never visited. The vocalist who hadn't made a sound until now began a wordless, undulating wail that seemed to bypass Martin's ears and vibrate directly inside his skull. He could see the band, now their faces obscured by shadows, despite lights. Their movements too fluid to be natural. The music had become a physical presence in the room, pressing against him from all sides. I can tell you how the walls of his apartment seemed to pulse with each beat, expanding and contracting like a massive lung. They had gone somewhere else, taking their audience with them. The 13th chord, mathematical, musical impossibility, was a door opening between worlds. The audience swayed in perfect unison, their expressions blank yet somehow ecstatic. Bai stretched across the floor, reaching toward him with tendrils of absolute darkness. Martin's collection of rock memorabilia posters, signed guitars, rare albums began to vibrate on their shelves. He'd discovered countless forgotten gems this way over the years, unearthing bands that deserved recognition beyond their obscurity. The liner notes mentioned this as the band's only recorded performance before their transcendence. No band members were named. In the sudden silence, he heard a soft knocking, not from his apartment door, but from inside the now still vinyl record. With World Rock Day approaching, Martin decided this would be his midnight listening session to celebrate. Once a year, on this night, the 13th Chord performed again, adding new members to their eternal tour. Each drop fell in perfect rhythm with the music. How he closed his eyes, letting the sound wash over him as midnight ticked past and World Rock Day officially began. That night, as the clock approached midnight, Martin carefully placed the vinyl on his turntable. The 5th figure held what looked exactly like Martin's prized vintage. The music began with a guitar chord that seemed to hover at the edge of dissonance, creating an unsettling tension that never resolved. The bassist played patterns that felt mathematically wrong, as if deliberately designed to create cognitive dissonance. The drummer's rhythm shifted constantly, like a heartbeat gradually accelerating toward cardiac arrest. Martin's skin prickled, despite the technical peculiarity. The music was hypnotic. Behind his closed eyelids, Martin began to see things. The temperature in Martin's apartment dropped suddenly. His breath fogged in the air as the music built toward what felt like an impossible crescendo. Martin wanted to stop the record, but his limbs felt leaden. In the corner of his vision, shadows began to move independently of their sources. The vocalist's wail transformed into something that resembled words in no language Martin recognized, yet he understood their meaning perfectly. An invitation. Martin realized with dawning horror what transcendence meant. The 13th Chord hadn't disbanded after their only performance. As the final notes approached, Martin's memorabilia began to bleed, actual crimson liquid seeping from signed album covers, dripping from guitar strings, pooling beneath his display cases. The record ended with a sound that was unisound at all but a void pulling Martin's consciousness. The clock read 12:13 a.m. July 13th. World Rock Day. Martin understood now why the date was significant. As Martin's trembling hand reached involuntarily toward the record, 5 silhouettes appeared on the album cover where previously there had been only 4. The knocking from inside the vinyl grew more insistent. The needle dropped again of its own accord. This time, Martin knew he would hear the entire concert.